Have you ever gazed at the changing seasons and wondered what might explain these weird cycles? From the rebirth of spring to the bloom of summer, the transition of fall and the dormancy of winter. Every year, our planet Earth creates this rhythmic journey that continuously renews itself. Now, what if I told you that the power of a mother's love is responsible for the turning of these seasons according to Greek mythology? To explain this, we have to travel back in time. Let's get into it. Long ago, there was a young and lovely girl named Persephone. She was the daughter of Zeus, the king of the gods, and Demeter, the goddess of harvest and fertility. Persephone was also known as Kor, meaning maiden, and she grew up to be a beautiful and enchanting young woman. However, Demeter, her mother, was deeply possessive and perhaps a bit overprotective of her only daughter. She kept all potential suitors away from Persephone, not wanting her to be married off to anyone. One day, Hades, the god of the underworld, became captivated by Persephone's beauty and youth. He fell in love with her and decided he wanted her as his wife. Hades approached Demeter and asked for Persephone's hand in marriage, but Demeter was furious at the idea and refused to give her consent. She believed Hades, with his dark and grim nature, was not the right husband for her beloved daughter. Hades, heartbroken and desperate to be with Persephone, made up a plan to take her to the underworld without her mother's knowledge. One day, while Persephone was playing with her friends and picking flowers in a peaceful valley, she saw a particularly enchanting narcissus. As she reached down to pluck the flower, the ground suddenly opened up and Hades emerged in his chariot, pulled by black horses. He swiftly grabbed Persephone and descended into the dark depths of his kingdom, while the gap closed behind them. None of Persephone's friends witnessed the abduction, but Zeus, her father, and Helios, the sun god, saw the whole incident unfold. Despite knowing what had happened, Zeus chose to keep silent, not wanting to provoke a conflict with his brother Hades. Helios, being wise, decided not to meddle in the affair. Meanwhile, Demeter was distraught and heartbroken when she realized her daughter was missing. She searched all over the earth, desperately trying to find Persephone. In her grief, Demeter neglected her duties as the goddess of harvest and fertility, and the consequences were dire. The earth dried up, crops failed, plants lost their fruitfulness, and famine spread, causing untold suffering to humanity. The people's cries and prayers reached Olympus, and Zeus understood that he needed to do something to appease Demeter's wrath. He didn't want humanity to perish due to the lack of food and fertility. Zeus decided to find a solution that would satisfy both Demeter and Hades. He proposed that if it could be proven that Persephone had willingly chosen to stay with Hades, she would belong to him. However, if it was shown that she was being held against her will, she would be returned to Demeter. This seemed like a fair compromise to Zeus. But you won't believe what happened next in a twist of events. Hades, being clever, learned of Zeus's plan and hatched a cunning scheme. He knew that if Persephone ate food from the underworld, she would be bound to the realm and unable to leave. So he tricked Persephone into eating a few seeds of the pomegranate, the food of the underworld. When the time came for the gathering in front of Zeus, Persephone was asked where she wanted to live, with her mother or her husband. Tearfully, she answered that she wanted to stay with Hades. Demeter was furious and accused Hades of deceiving her daughter. A heated argument broke out, with Demeter threatening to withhold her blessings from the earth forever, causing even more suffering. To avoid further disaster, Zeus came up with a resolution. He decided that Persephone would spend half of the year with Hades in the underworld and the other half with her mother on Olympus. This is how seasons were created on Earth according to Greek mythology. While Persephone is in the underworld, Demeter will mourn and neglect her duties as the goddess of harvest and fertility, causing autumn and winter to be barren and cold. In these times, it's extra difficult to ensure a successful harvest. When Persephone returns to her mother, Demeter's joy brings forth spring and summer, and the earth blooms once again. This way, the ancient Greeks explained the changing of the seasons as the eternal cycle of Persephone's presence in the underworld and with her mother dictated the fertility and abundance of the earth. And so, the myth of Persephone, the queen of the underworld, and her mother Demeter, the goddess of harvest, remains a timeless tale of love, loss, compromise, and the circle of life. This story beautifully illustrates how the ancient Greeks used mythology to explain the natural world around them, giving meaning to the changing seasons and the rhythm of life. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any of our other stories. Until we meet again,